Sunday morning cold, eyes on the score, touchdown dance ball, craving for more. Friends are calling, trades are on fire. Rookies falling, championship desire. Fantasy football fever, chasing the dream. Top of the leaderboard, we're the winning team.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Healers Program. Today, Colton and I are talking about stashes. And if you mustache, you can find us at FF Healers, and you can find Colton at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. But in all seriousness, it's that time of year to start asking, what if? And that's exactly what Colton and I are planning to do today. We're finding the stashes for the players that you want for 2026.
Now for some impressions. A guy with a mustache. Look at me, I'm a guy with a mustache.
I love the SpongeBob reference there. Are your kids SpongeBob fans?
Yes, yeah, they like watching it. They don't like just go out of their way to go watch it, but when we're at like a hotel, then they definitely want to go watch SpongeBob.
Yeah, my nephew, huge SpongeBob fan. There was Christmas one year. It was literally SpongeBob everything, so the whole family dressed up as like different SpongeBob stuff. It was pretty cool. Big SpongeBob fan. I mean, that's my generation there is SpongeBob. Did you know there's actually a study that shows people that watch SpongeBob are actually dumber than what they could have been?
I did not know that study, but for some reason, I figured you'd like the mustache references with SpongeBob, and I got one more for you, Colton.
Mustaches worked.
Mustaches worked. There was another one that I heard, and it was like, this is how you grow a mustache. And he's like, pop. And the mustache ended up popping on his face.
That's from the SpongeBob movie, as you can tell. I'm a SpongeBob fan.
So Colton, today we're talking about quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, stashes for 2026. There's a lot of changes that are going to be happening, with free agency. There's going to be players that maybe have potential to either rise up in their depth chart or potentially move to a different landing spot that could provide some value for your teams. And if you're a team that is already kicked out of the playoffs, like this is the podcast for you, because this is the time frame to start thinking about tomorrow, 2026. And if you're a contender, well, guess what? We also want you to start thinking about tomorrow, because you always have to continue to compete, especially in Dynasty.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Dynasty, man. You get to build the team the way you want it, and as soon as you're out of it, you're not out of it. You're right back in rebuilding. So that is the beauty of Dynasty. It's always looking ahead and building and making your team better, and that's why we love Dynasty, man.
So before we get into like the specific players that we're looking for stashes, like what kind of players are you looking at dropping to pick up some of these stashes?
You're looking at the roster blockers, the Justice Hills of the league, and the players that Christian Kirk is another good example. Unfortunately, the players that you just want them to be good, and you just can't play them, man. You just can't. You can't put them out there. You can't trust when they're gonna do something, and that's just the kind of players. Sometimes, there's a big quote that goes around Dynasty football, and it's, you can't cut that guy. And in all reality, if you haven't put him in this season, if you haven't trusted to take that guy and put him into your lineup, I mean, aside from young players, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, and you gotta cut that guy.
So I just cut Roman Wilson because we're almost 2 full seasons in, and Roman Wilson hasn't done anything for my roster. And he's a guy that I don't trust playing right now. And guess what? Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play with him either. In fact, they just signed Adam Thielen, because Adam Thielen was asked to be released from the pitiful Vikings and be added to the Steelers that are still somehow trying to make a push to make the playoffs.
Yeah, man. They're going for it, but yeah, that's the exact type of player is Roman Wilson. Someone that showed so much promise, and you and I both liked coming out of college. We liked him a lot, and that's just the kind of roster blocker that you sit with on your team for a while, just hoping that they'll be good, and you see it, and then it just never comes. It's time you got to cut that guy.
Interestingly enough, Roman Wilson, I always thought was a Nico Collins like prototype, and they both came out of Michigan, I believe. And Nico didn't like fire until year 3. And about this time of year, I would have dropped Nico Collins only for him to just blow up the following year. And it happens. And you have to let it go. And you have to let it go because like the chances of it happening are so slim.
Yeah, I mean, I have had plenty of instances where that's happened, especially in the running back. It's easier to hang on to these third, fourth string running backs because the running back just gets so much more injured. So when you're thinking about this, think about this in terms of, am I hanging on to a third or fourth string wide receiver that's maybe going to get a ball thrown to him, make a cool catch, Treylon Burks, here and there, and you're like, man, he's got it, except for they're not. They don't have it. They're still in the depth chart where, and they're relying on so many injuries ahead of them to a wide receiver that gets injured way less than what a running back is. I mean, we've seen, especially this year, like teams have gone to their third, fourth string running back because of just injury ahead, and those guys become useful. So that's just something to also think of. Stash running backs, the third, fourth string wide receivers that aren't getting any targets. Those are the guys that you can easily let go of over those running backs.
Started to jump to my next question, but I gotta go back here just a second. And Treylon Burks reference was perfect because like Washington this past week, Treylon Burks wearing the number 13, mind you, the same number that Odell would have wore when he made his one-handed, like, everybody knows the catch that he caught one-handed while he was playing with the Giants. From the same division, NFC East, only now with Washington, with Treylon Burks. It was an unbelievable catch, but again, it was just that one little flash, and nobody's buying Treylon. Everyone's dumped Treylon a long time ago. Other players that I'm looking to dump are like the extra defenses that I have been holding when I was a competitive player. The extra kicker, like why am I holding on to more than one kicker, Colton? The aging assets, like you were saying, and players that no longer are on teams. Like I've seen so many rosters in multiple fantasy leagues. They still have players that haven't played all year long, and you know why they're not playing? Because they're not on an NFL roster. Like if you have a player that's not on an NFL roster, why do you have them on your team? Deontay Johnson, for instance, comes to mind.
That is a great question. And speaking of you saying no one's buying Treylon Burks, someone actually just spent 25 fab in one of my leagues.
But that's waivers. Waivers are different. Like we're gonna get to the stashes. Like that's a perfect player to stash if you're desperate. He was a former first round pick. You're looking for the former draft capital player. He is a year 3 wide receiver, I believe, right?
This might be his fourth. I'll look.
His fourth. Well, nonetheless, but he had to have had some talent, and even if he flashes for a short time, like you bought him for nothing. And right now, like we're at the end of the season, like who cares about fab? Like you're just using whatever fab you have left. You only got a couple more weeks to use the fab, and then it restarts next season.
And then, he is in his 4th season.
Okay, but again, yeah, he's probably not going to do anything, but a free player. And you've touched on it, but what other players are you looking at stashing? You said running back, and I have an exclamation point. Running back. That's always the answer. 3rd string, 4th string, maybe even a taxi player running back, because you never know what the opportunities are going to bring. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about some of those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of. I tried to stick with bigger name stashes. I mean, we can go on for days and days about some of the no-named guys that like opportunity can come knocking, and I assume that you're gonna go for some of
I
the.
love scraping the barrel.
I
You know I
knew
love
you
just
did.
scraping the barrel. So
Yeah.
I have all kinds of players, and for those people that have like the interest of like, well, that guy's not available in my league. Trust me, I have a few guys you can pick up from the waiver wire, and it doesn't cost you nothing. You don't even have to probably put any fab on them.
Just gonna get down and dirty with some of these guys.
Oh yeah. Other players you're looking at stashing other than running back and big name players?
Honestly, some of these backup quarterbacks. You know, every single year.
Especially in Superflex.
Exactly, especially Superflex, but we see it every single year that, I think there's a statistics that it's like a quarter of the league that they have a different starting quarterback than what they started the previous season with. And it's like a statistic that every year. So that's like 8 different quarterbacks, whether it's going to be the rookie, whether it's going to be a backup quarterback from another team, a veteran, every single year we have different quarterbacks come out and start for these teams. And some of these teams are struggling with the quarterback play. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings, there's already rumors swirling. The Raiders, there's already rumors swirling. I mean, so we have these teams already. I mean, obviously the Jets are going to want a quarterback. So
they're going to get Kyler. Come on, Colton.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They're getting Kyler Murray. And their troubles are not solved.
These are the teams these are the kind of players you're looking for. It's the ones that have performed this year. So we'll get to them because I got a few on my list.
Some other players, I love the quarterback one, especially in Superflex leagues. That's a really good one there, Colton. The contracts that are expiring. I like looking at contracts that are expiring. If they're looking at a player that's going to be without a contract starting in 2026, meaning they're going to be a free agent, they're going to have a different landing spot, might have another opportunity. And then I'm also looking at like who are the players ahead or behind those players to maybe have some other ideas of potential stashes, which we'll talk about. The players that haven't popped in their first year. So re-looking at, the rookie players, looking at ADPs that maybe people have dropped as the season has gone along. There's all kinds of people that get into tight situations like, ooh, I need to pick this guy up, and they forget about him. And so you're looking at the waiver wires, you're looking at the rookies, the guys that didn't pop. You're looking at the injured players also in the league because, again, you get in a sticky situation, you drop a guy that's on the IR or that's going to be out for the whole season, and next thing you know, guess what? He's going to be healthy next year. Put him on your roster. You might even get to put him in the IR spot that you have available on your team, and now you're maximizing your roster that much more. I always am maximizing my roster in so many leagues, and I know you know that, Colton.
I got
the first one.
I got Joe Mixon off the waiver wire just a couple weeks ago. Just
Wow.
toss him in an IR spot.
Free.
Who cares? I think I threw like $5 fab at him, got him. I'm like, okay, cool.
Love that. I mean, that's the perfect player to stash. That is the perfect player to stash because, yeah, he's injured this season and he's not right this season. But the chances are he's probably going to be healthy and he's probably going to have an opportunity somewhere. May not be with the Texans, but maybe he will be. We don't know. I don't know what his contract situation is. I didn't look that deep with his contract. But I think before we get into running back, though, for stashes, we got to start at the top, Colton. We got to start at the quarterback, the position that you just talked about, like the most precious position in the NFL and potentially on your Superflex roster. Do you have a quarterback that you're looking to stash going into 2026, or maybe multiple quarterbacks?
I do, and this is my highest priority stash in a Superflex league is Mac Jones. This is easily when I said that the backup quarterbacks that have performed this year, he looked awesome. Almost, some would argue, better than what Brock Purdy is looking currently at the moment. And he played through injury. He proved that he was, a go-to guy. They trusted him to sling the ball around. And he just looked good. And this is a guy you can get cheap. I mean, Brock Purdy's back. People are like, oh, Mac Jones, he's just a backup. You can toss, you're going to have to pay more than some of, the guys that we're talking off the waiver. You are going to have to give somebody a little something for him, but it's not going to be much. Nobody's going to be asking the world for Mac Jones, the backup to Brock Purdy. Because as soon as Brock Purdy was healthy, they said, nah, get back, Mac Jones. So everyone's going to be thinking about, well, he's just a backup. Of course I'll give him to you. So he is my number one priority ad because he can go and be a starter on a team easily.
Mac Jones was also a player that I had in mind.
Don't touch my mustache.
He is a possible tradable asset for the 49ers. He looked very good with the 49ers this year. He also looked very good with the Jaguars, and we see how dysfunctional the Jaguars have been. And poor BTJ, can you imagine what he'd pay to have Mac Jones back throwing him the ball for the Jaguars right now? Mac Jones, one of the problems with Mac Jones is that he's signed through 2027 with the 49ers. And so if Brock Purdy is healthy, there's a chance that Mac Jones sits behind him for a year, and he might be a guy that just kind of sits on your roster. But he's also a guy that I really would like to have on my roster just for that very instance. When he is available and Brock is not, he's a guy you can just throw into your lineup and feel pretty good about it. Another former first-round quarterback. And here's the thing. If he gets traded to another team, that team is going to start Mac Jones. Minnesota Vikings.
I wanted to touch on this. And it's just wild.
Retread guy. We see all these retread guys. And Mac Jones, he's proven that he's still a good quarterback.
I mean, yeah, and there's been rumors swirling out of Minnesota. It's the best that J.J. McCarthy can hope for at this point of his career. And it's such a young career, so it's wild. But the best he can hope for is that he is able to actually play well enough at the end of the season here that he gets the chance to compete for next year's starting opportunity. Not that they just go and get somebody. For the chance that he can even compete for the starting gig for next year. So, I mean, those are, and they have such a talented roster. They are missing the quarterback. And so that's one of those teams that you could only hope they go for and trade for a Mac Jones or trade for my next guy who's just sitting as another backup and looked absolutely incredible for the New York Giants. Jameis Winston is a forever stash. Stash him on your roster forever, and you will have the most fun asset you have ever experienced in the history of fantasy football, in the history of the NFL. God, he's just the best player. Just the best. There's Baker Mayfield, and then there's Jameis. They're right there with each other, right up at the top. Two of the best players of all time. I love them.
I like that Jameis one. He is always a stash. And whenever I have him on my fantasy roster, though, I'm always itching to get rid of him. And then the second I get rid of him and move on from him, I'm itching to get him back on my roster. It's just the wildest thing.
I don't understand how there hasn't been a team that's looked. This is actually it. This is what I understand about Jameis. The teams that want Jameis on their team, they want him as the pump up guy. They want him as a good locker room guy and a guy that can easily go there and mentor and be great to the quarterback that they have. And when they put him in there, he can perform. And then there's the other teams that like a Minnesota, and they could absolutely love Jameis, and they could absolutely do great things with him.
I would love to have him with the Vikings.
Except for here's the other fact: you never know what you're getting out of Jameis. He can absolutely go and win you the week, or he can absolutely lose you the week. So the teams that are trying to tank with Jameis, he could go and easily win them the week, which what they don't want. But the teams that do have a good roster and want to win, they're like, he can easily go and lose us the week. So that's the problem with Jameis. Just so great, but man, he's just such a roller coaster of emotions.
I think our defense could withstand his interceptions and like his just erraticness with the ball. I could see him. That would be a much better choice than the next one I'm going to say is like Joe Flacco. I mean, where's Joe Flacco go next? Does he go for the next Infinity Stone and go to the Steelers so he's got all 4 of the AFC North? Or, does he go to the Minnesota Vikings and is like, okay, he's going to start for us until he's either injured or until, J.J. McCarthy potentially progresses, whatever that looks like.
I do. I almost actually wrote Joe Flacco as one of my stashes. I ended up not because I think Joe Flacco is just one of those guys. He's like one of the old dogs. He's the Adam Thielen, He plays well for, I think, short spurts. I think the Bengals is the perfect play for him because Joe Burrow was hurt. He came in, lit it up for a few games, but at some point, I think that Flacco magic is just going to end. We saw it happen with him.
Close.
We saw him happen to him when he was on the Colts. I mean, he just stopped playing things to the point where they're like, yeah, let's try Richardson again, I guess. And that's just how the magic just wears off. He looks great for short periods, but man, his body's getting up there. He's getting old. He runs out of energy. So I think I do like Flacco, but I think he's one of those guys, if he does go to a place and starts, let him get the first few weeks in and then you trade him away for something.
To be clear, Flacco's not the type of guy I'm going out of my way to stash on my roster. If he's free, sure, but again, I'm not trading for Joe Flacco. Some guys, and again, I like looking at like some of the retread quarterbacks. We've seen a lot of retreads within this year just by itself, even last year. And a couple of these guys, again, former first-round quarterbacks, got drafted, top 2, top 3 in the NFL draft. They were both drafted in the same draft class, complete flops for both teams, and they're on completely different rosters than what they got drafted. And that's Trey Lance and that's Zach Wilson. Their stashes, Colton, in Superflex.
Oh,
Trey Lance, he signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Chargers. Herbert has hand surgery. There's a question mark whether we're going to see Trey Lance or not. Supposedly Herbert's playing this Monday. I would like to see, Trey Lance have at least an opportunity to get some more reps in. Zach Wilson, we haven't heard a peep out of the Miami camp about any progressions whatsoever. Zach Wilson was with the Broncos before that, and we all know he was drafted by the Jets. We've seen how many Jets rookies just completely just fade away until they reappear. Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and then Trey Lance, he got drafted by the 49ers. They got Purdy. He went on to the Cowboys for, I think, a year, and then now he's over with the Chargers. They're both like on 1-year contracts. They're both going to be free agents, and they're cheap, and they may be free on waivers.
I don't mind. I don't mind the Zach Wilson take. I 100% agree. I think he showed at least flashes during his stint as the Jets quarterback. He made some decent throws. He looked good. There was at points he just carried the team and he could sustain drives and actually made the Jets look like they were a decent competitive team. And then, I mean, his career just got absolutely bombed by being on the Jets. So I don't hate that one. I think he can actually be, at least a somewhat competent quarterback. But Trey Lance, man, it's once again it's my Anthony Richardson. He's like a skinny,
25.
He's like a skinny
25.
Anthony Richardson, though. He got overdrafted by the 49ers. And he got overdrafted. They reached on him because of his rushing upside. It was like the Lamar madness era. Everybody's looking for the next Lamar. They're looking for the rushing guy that can toss the ball. We've seen multiple teams fall for it now. We saw the Colts fall for it, Anthony Richardson. The 49ers fell with it, and Trey Lance. The 49ers were just smarter and moved on sooner. They're like, yeah, they saw what they had, and they're like, this guy ain't got it. We obviously have to go a different option. So that's just where I disagree with Trey Lance. I think we know what he is. He's a guy that could run the ball, and that'd be awesome. But I just don't foresee him ever being good enough to take over a starting spot because I just don't think he can throw it, man. I just don't. We don't know because we haven't seen him because I think all these teams keep hiding him because they're just like, he can't throw it.
It's always like, what's in the box? I'm always like, what's in the box?
Could be a boat.
It might be a boat. It might be a boat. I got just a couple other quarterbacks that they're going to become free agents that have some interesting characteristics. That Malik Willis, he is going to be a free agent. He showed a couple starts with the Packers, and he looked like he had some playmaking ability. And the Titans, he played really awful when he was with the Titans, but he was just thrust in there. He wasn't ready. He came out of Liberty, so he wasn't NFL ready when he got drafted. And then now finds himself in a better situation with the Packers, and now is going to potentially move on to another team. There is a chance that he could be a starter for a team like the Jets, like the Raiders, that they can get for cheap off of free agency as they're trying to build their franchise, and they might find something under the rock. Mitch Trubisky, he's going to have his contract up with Buffalo 2026 also. And fun fact, he's the only quarterback that has thrown for like 10,000 passes and has never thrown a pick six in NFL history. Mitch Trubisky.
Wow. I did not know that. Fun stat.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Any other quarterbacks that you're digging for?
This one is a bit of a reach as a stash, but I think you can get him on the cheap per end of the quarterbacks that are already starting, and you already brought his name up as he's going to the Jets. It's Kyler Murray. My goodness, has this man fallen from fantasy grace? He was seen as like a top 10 quarterback because of his rushing ability, and he was actually pretty accurate back in the day. And ever since his injury, he just has not returned to his form. He's out there on the football field acting like he's scared. But when he's out there, he does score fantasy points, or maybe he could absolutely turn it around and stop playing like he's so terrified. But as of right now, it's just, he seems that his value has gone down that some of these people that have him might be like, I'm willing to move off of him cheap because he's not going to be on the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, the Cardinals are pretty much came out and said they're benching him, but he also has the injury, so they're just letting him heal. They're saving face with him to try to get to trade him in the offseason rather than saying, hey, we benched Kyler Murray for Jacoby Brissett. It is, he is injured, wink, wink. So trying to save face, maybe he moves on to a different team that we could like, and maybe he could return some fantasy value, but another first-round pick that's just kind of fallen off.
I think the consensus here is that there's so many quarterbacks that are on your waiver wire right now that have potential to find themselves in a different landing spot, could find themselves in a different situation. There might be the third string quarterback now. Maybe they're the second string. Maybe the second string turns into a first string or a starter. So, like, this is the time of year. Keep kind of digging through and seeing who's available.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Now let's go to running back, another fan favorite, another spot that I agree with you is the easy, low-hanging fruit type of players.
Am I hitting mine first? First and foremost, and it's a guy that is really starting to get some touches this year. He's in his third year, which seems shocking, but that's Blake Corum of the Los Angeles Rams. He's finally getting a little bit of steam. Dustin tried to steal him off my roster just today. In fact, with a garbage trade, might I add. Smash declined it. But I don't blame him because Blake Corum is starting to get some steam. And, you know, there's a possibility we could see him. He's already starting to take over a little bit of the goal line work and get more touches this year. They're starting to trust him. So he could see himself having a role on this roster as Kyron's getting older and everything. Or, you know, he could potentially even be a trade candidate for some of these running back needy teams coming into next year. You know, a lot of these guys, he's going to be going into his fourth year. He was, I think, a second or third round pick. So that's the last year of his contract. He could absolutely say, hey, if you're not going to use me, I want to go to a team that will and get an actual contract from them. And so he's definitely a trade candidate for the offseason. possibility to move on to somewhere else and actually get some playing time. And I know a lot of people loved him coming out of Michigan. He was a superstar and pretty much was their whole offense there. So, but definitely a good guy that you could stash and get relatively cheap if nobody knows these secrets.
Well, McVay came out within the last day or so and basically said that they want to save Kyron Williams to get like some time off so that way they can prepare him for the playoffs. So these next couple of weeks could be a huge jump start for Blake Corum. He's already got a bunch of fantasy points for your roster right now, but like there's chances that he's going to continue to propel himself forward. I'm starting him in a league this week because my running back situation is very porous, and it's Blake Corum and it's Devin Neal as my starting running backs this week in that fantasy league. In a must-win situation to make the playoffs.
I almost put him as a stash. I didn't put Devin Neal, surprise. But man, I really wanted to. He's getting his opportunity. He didn't look that bad last week on a garbage Saints offense, but man, I really wanted to put his name down. I'm glad you brought him up.
I like this guy as a stash. He's going to be one that's going to cost you a little bit though, and it's Tyler Algier. He's on the last year of his contract. Another guy to think about is the guy behind the guy, who's behind Algier, and that's Nathan Carter. Who? Nathan Carter, an undrafted rookie. He's 5'10", 202 pounds, out of Michigan State, out of UConn. He ran a 4.440. He has a speed score in the 89th percentile and a burst score at 100 percentile. So he's an athletic guy, and he's been just not available for Atlanta because they have other needs right now, Colton. They don't, the wide receiver, for instance, some of their special teams. Nathan Carter is not a special teams guy, so he's inactive. But if any of these two running backs were to miss time, Nathan Carter is the next man up. And so he is one of those scraping the barrel guys that I guarantee you he's on most waiver wire options. I think he was only rostered in 3% of dynasty leagues.
I'm sure. Yeah, he's definitely a waiver wire guy. He's going to be only stashed in those ridiculously deep leagues. The ridiculously deep leagues. My name is someone that's just he's currently the backup on a garbage team that has much higher needs than everywhere else, and their starting running back wants the heck out of there, and that's Isaiah Davis sitting on the New York Jets. An absolute mustache guy, because the Jets, I don't foresee them. I must stash him on your bench. Because I don't foresee them going to get a running back in the draft. They don't need one. They're not ready. They have so many holes elsewhere that they need to use with all their picks that they have now. And I think he's shown enough flashes that they would trust him to be their kind of go-to guy. He gets the job done well enough. Breece Hall is absolutely done. He is not signing. He wants out. So he's
With Kansas City.
Yeah, he's going else. He's going on. Onwards and upwards is where he's going. But Isaiah Davis is the next guy up there, so an absolute guy that is great to stash.
I think more people have Isaiah Davis on their radar because of the Breece Hall injury earlier in the season. And so I think there's just that thought of Isaiah Davis already on some of people's minds to kind of hold on to. And I think the forgotten guy is Braylon Allen on this same team. He's been injured all season long. And so both of these guys are going to have opportunities on this like awful Jets roster.
Yeah, that's another great name to bring up is Braylon Allen. Absolutely. He is another great stash because everybody does forget about him as of right now because he is injured and sitting on that IR. But we did see Isaiah Davis get some touches even while Braylon Allen was there. So it definitely could be a two-headed monster there. But
in the draft class, I liked Isaiah Davis better than Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen was that big guy that kind of was that A.J. Dillon type, kind of a little bit more of a plotter. While Isaiah Davis, he has, I think, the better like hand skill to like catch the receptions, and I think that's more valuable in PPR leagues.
No doubt.
Um, Kenneth Walker, he's going to be a free agent. Now, he is not the guy, like, I would love to stash Kenneth Walker, but, like, that's going to be super expensive. And fun fact, I think he's going to be with the Raiders. But the guy behind the guy, like, who is behind Walker and Charbonnet? That's George
Oh.
Holani. Yes.
You got a little mustache.
From the milk.
What was just in my head? What was just whispering in my ear?
That was from Kindergarten Cop. When Arnold had the milk mustache.
I thought we were gonna have to turn this podcast to like X-rated. I'm like, what's happening? There's just like a little like whispery moan in my ear going on.
Just making sure everyone has their attention on
getting X-rated.
So George Holani is a guy that is now actually currently on the IR through, I think, week 16 or 17. So he's probably a free ad in most of your leagues, as we've been talking about. Another scrape the barrel guy. But he's shown flashes this year with the Seahawks, and I think the Seahawks really like him. There's going to be a huge rushing share opportunity if Walker doesn't sign with the Seahawks, and Holani could be that guy. And that's all I'm trying to say.
He did come in.
They do have Mr. McIntosh, though, too.
Well, Kenny McIntosh, baby.
Blank check.
Yeah, I mean, he did come in, steal a goal line touchdown from Charbonnet, actually, just a few weeks back. You know, went in for the touchdown. I'm like, of course, another goal line touchdown to Charbonnet. Nah, George Holani. So they are getting him some work. I think they're expecting Kenneth Walker to not return. I think he's frustrated with the team and his role. They started to ramp up his work recently. I just don't think they're using Kenneth Walker correctly. So I don't see the fit for the team. I don't see the fit for him. So I think you are correct. And, you know, he could very well be moving on. And man, and nobody's been worse than Zach Charbonnet this year. Like the metrics that he's putting up, he's just like by far one of the worst backs. Like when you look at it, like on a per touch basis, he's just not performing well. Using even the eye looks. You look at him, you're like, he just doesn't look like he's playing right. Like he just looks slow and like a plotter for some reason this year. But definitely someone that's a good stash.
The good thing about Holani is also he's a special teams guy, so he's going to be active on game day because he's going to be the RB3 on the roster. And if anything was to happen in game, guess who's going to be getting some touches and some opportunities? George Holani.
Yeah. My guy, speaking of people that are going to be a little bit more expensive, because I really thought you were going to say Kenneth Walker. I was like, yeah, everyone.
I mean, you know, easy stash. I know that's not the type of guy that this show I'm trying to stash because, like, he's rostered already, Colton.
Yeah,
he's already
yes.
rostered.
Yeah, crazy. Surprise, Kenneth Walker's rostered. Although I couldn't give away Kenneth Walker to people like halfway through the year. People were so off of Walker for some reason.
Time to buy him.
I know. I did,
and it didn't work.
I did, and there's just another leak that was like, oh, I'll see what I can get for him. Some of these contenders, and they're like, I don't want him. I'm like, oh my god, what? Okay, fine, I'll keep him. But anyways, my guy's a little bit more expensive, but that's Stache Spears on the Tennessee Titans. He's the backup to Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's starting to age up. This team, we're talking about another team once again, though, that has so many holes. They don't have a wide receiver of consequence. Their defense has just fallen to shambles. Their offensive line is awful. I mean, think of all the other holes. And Stache Spears, Tony Pollard's another year older. Stache Spears absolutely has an opportunity for the role. They like him. If he can stay healthy, that is his big knock. He has to stay healthy. But he's got juice. He looks explosive. He had a couple of big games already this year coming back after injury. But if he can stay healthy, man, people love him. I almost got him for like a third earlier on this season. Just tossing it.
What are we doing with this guy? He literally was drafted with one ACL in his knee, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, you know, he's a good running back. He's a good running back." We're in like year 3, and he hasn't done a gosh darn thing in the NFL. What are we doing here? What are we doing here with Stache Spears? Yeah, he's currently the RB2 for a team, and what is he getting you? What is he getting you? I'm gonna have to disagree on this one with Spears. I feel like you're talking about roster cloggers, and I would not be paying a third for Tajay Spears.
I absolutely would pay a third with the expectation of Tony Pollard moving on. I think Tony Pollard's getting to a point in his career, especially he's old, man. He wants to win, and I don't see the Tennessee Titans changing it around in one more year.
You're doing the right thing though. You're looking for opportunities, and Tajay, that's the process. The process is there with Tajay Spears. He's just not the guy I'm looking for, Colton. I'm going to scrape the barrel a little bit.
Oh, of course you are.
And stop at Tajay Spears. I got a bad taste in my mouth all of a sudden.
I was gonna say you don't like him. You don't like it at all. Can
Nope.
you taste that? Taste it on your tongue.
That's dry. Bitter taste. Try the bitter taste of. No, I'm not going there. Travis Etienne is a free agent this year, also with the Jaguars, and we're seeing.
I know where you're going with this.
Of course you do. If you listen to the podcast, you know exactly who the guy is.
I almost wrote him down. I'm like, I can't steal Dustin's thunder.
No.
Don't touch my mustache.
Don't touch him. Don't. This guy is definitely a stash, Colton. He is. Because just like you said with Tajay Spears, opportunities going to ring for this man. And the thing is with this opportunity is the Jaguars actually use their running backs. And they're using it, I think they're like top 5 in the NFL with how many carries that they're doing for their team because Lawrence doesn't know how to throw the ball in front of him outside of throwing it to the tight end. And so, Colton, we can say this name together.
LaQuint Allen.
LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse. He is a rookie. He was an early declare. All right, that sounds great. He ran for over 1,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. He can catch the ball. He's tackle breaking ability. He's got bursts. He's kind of a Kamara light. I remember looking at him as far as that for a prospect. I thought they were going to use him in the slot because there was rumors going into the preseason that, hey, we need a slot guy. I think LaQuint Allen could be that guy. And so that kind of got my excitement. And he was cooking some of the linebackers and things at like the Senior Bowl. I mean, excellent route runner. Like, what else do you want? A guy that can run the ball, a guy that can catch the ball, and a guy that could be the RB2 on a run-heavy team. LaQuint Allen. Jaguars.
As soon as we talked about him on that one podcast, I went and picked him up in like 3 or 4 different leagues. And I had a couple of my buddies text me. They're like, do you know something that we don't? I'm like, I know a guy that likes to scrape the bottom of the barrel, and he was just available. So I have him. I've got him.
Being a year early is not wrong. That's all I'm trying to say.
You know, if you have space. And these are guys that if you got the space, who cares? What's it doing? It's not hurting.
Guys have picked up and dropped. Dropped. Because I still have to have an active roster.
I have dropped it.
As I'm trying to go into the playoffs. But these are guys I'm trying to get before the season ends, before the fantasy league year ends, where I can still make that waiver claim and pick them up and hold on to them.
And these are guys this is a guy next year. You walk into it and you're like, oh, he's not going to be anything. You feel great. It's just like, I don't care. I'll drop him. I don't care. Nobody's picking him up. Nobody's going to just be like, oh, somebody dropped LaQuint Allen. Oh, I better scurry to go and get him after you're like, oh, it's not going to be anything. Drop. Okay.
After this podcast, he's not going to be available anywhere.
Nowhere. No.
Nowhere.
We're talking to you, QB1.
Nowhere he's going? Nowhere.
QB1. We're just going to go pick them all up.
We transition to wide receiver?
Let's do it.
So let's start with the Jets. The Jets, they did a late season trade for these 2 wide receivers. Adonai Mitchell. I call him an Adonai Mitchell. I've heard him called like multiple ways, but Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie with the Jets, they both looked pretty good these last few weeks. They were both day 2 picks, and I feel like the Jets are giving them the spotlight right now because guess what? Garrett Wilson's not available right now, and they're trying to figure out how are they going to compete in their division and then in the NFL. They haven't figured out their quarterback spot, but you know what? I think they figured out their wide receiver 2 and their wide receiver 3 for the near future.
I knew one of us were going to bring up A.D. Mitchell's name. So I didn't write him down. I actually wrote down the other one, John Mechie, because I think both of them are
stashes.
Both of them are stashes. Both of them look good. Both of them former second-round picks. A.D. Mitchell was just last year. And my knock on him coming into last year was his attitude problems. He has attitude issues, and he did when he was in college, coming out of Texas there. He had attitude issues. I think he came to this Colts team. He started to flash. He had that one big play, and then he dropped it on the goal line. I think they punished him, and my guess is somewhere in that background, he did not deal well with the punishment. My guess is he had even bigger attitude and was not working with the team after that, putting up a big fuss about, being punished for doing something incredibly stupid. I mean, that Jonathan Taylor also did just 1 year prior, so fair enough. But I think, and I think the Colts had said, whatever, dude, we don't really need you. So they just dropped him. I mean, it was just a waste of a second-round pick to just drop him a year later, because I don't think he had all the talent in the world. He's a very talented wide receiver, but I think he just ran his mouth enough that they're just like, fine, get out of here. You're just causing more issues than what you're helping. We have plenty of receivers. We don't need you.
Get the Jets to save him. He needed the Jets to, give him the opportunity. The Jets to save his career.
Found himself a little spot. I think was it last week? He had 12 targets or something. I mean, he's getting
last week was the big week for Mitchell. The 2 weeks before that was John Mechie.
And John Mechie, another second-round pick, had his first
for a few years.
Had his first season taken away due to cancer and cancer treatment. So just came back and found himself in a depth of a roster that they've already tried to rebuild, because they drafted him with a second-round pick and lost him. So they had to recover from that. So they just went and picked up other guys, and unfortunately, he just got buried. And this is his second life here in New York. And like we've said earlier with Isaiah Davis, they got bigger fish to fry than trying to find, too many wide receivers and running backs. So, I mean, maybe they do go and get a different name. They still have Garrett Wilson coming back, obviously. Maybe they've been making a lot of moves, but
they signed him for a big contract.
One of these guys is going to be relevant alongside Garrett Wilson, even when he does come back.
Much. I mean, they traded their entire defense away.
Yeah.
Which means that they're going to have to throw the ball more, right? So they're going to have a young defense next year, and those are the teams that we're trying to target. I mean, look at the Cowboys right now. They're having to throw the ball. Look at the Bengals. They can't afford a defense, so they're going to have to throw the ball. Like the Jets, they're going to have to throw the ball. They just need to have a quarterback that can throw the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Two very good stashes.
Some of the free agents that are going to be coming out in 2026. I got to start with this guy, Christian Kirk. He's going to be a free agent. Deebo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Hollywood Brown, Juwan Jennings, Rashid Shaheed, Wan'Dale Robinson. I think that's a name to consider. Jahan Dotson is going to be a free agent. Former first-round pick, Jahan Dotson.
I got a bad taste in my mouth.
And Pickens is also a free agent that I think he's going to re-sign with the Cowboys.
Yeah, the first one, Christian Kirk, obviously. I've already said.
I like Kirk.
I do. I don't get me wrong. I like Christian Kirk, but we've seen him try to be the wide receiver one for a team. Just doesn't get it done. And even on the Texans, he just cannot figure out how to be even the two on this team right now, man. Behind Nico Collins, obviously, but there's a plethora of guys. You would expect Christian Kirk, with all of his experience and how good of a wide receiver he's supposed to be able to beat out Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. But he just he just
Hurt.
He's always hurt, man. He's always hurt.
He'll play well, and then he'll get a contract, and then he'll get hurt again. Right now, we're in the cycle of him coming back from being hurt.
I
So
like
then he's going to be good, Colton.
I like
Then you
Christian
can either
Kirk.
sell him
I got
or
him off
find another team.
I got him off the waivers, and I do have him as a stash, but it's just on a team that I'm desperate. I'm like, maybe, hopefully, maybe he can stay healthy and go and find himself on a crappy team that he could be the one or something. But if there is talent on that roster, he just doesn't get the targets is my problem.
Any other wide receiver stashes? I think wide receiver is a harder one because these are the quintessential
Oh, I've got one.
loggers on your roster.
I got one.
Let's hear it.
And I don't know if it counts as a stash because he just started playing really well with Amon-Ra being out, and that's Isaac Tesla.
He's a good stash. I mean, he is
More
a rookie.
expensive.
He's young,
More expensive
And-
of a stash, but
electric.
he is like boogie woogie woogie.
That's a good one, Dad.
Thank you. I was waiting for it. I needed it.
I had to find it. We have
That's-
so many.
That was a swoosh. But I do like Isaac Tesla a lot. Similar to another guy this is going to be the most expensive stash that I'm going to probably say in my whole thing, and that's Luther Burden. And that's just because, you can probably get him relatively cheap. He's just been buried on this roster. Caleb Williams, for as good as the Bears are doing, Caleb Williams is only completing and passes at 58%. So it looks like these receivers aren't doing that much. I mean, we've seen Rona Doomsday disappear off the face of the earth. DJ Moore's reappeared as the number one go-to guy. Colston Loveland has been catching a lot. They move the ball around, so it just looks like Luther Burden isn't getting worked in. But when he's had the opportunity, he looks good. And he was my favorite, number one, prior to the draft. And he's very talented if you can get the ball into his hands. And the Bears just haven't been using him that way because they haven't needed to. There's no reason for them to test the waters of what they've got in Luther Burden right now, and what they have is working. So I think he could absolutely come into a bigger role next year once we see this Bears start running into money trouble. They're going to have to start paying these guys eventually, and they're going to have to move on and move pieces around because they have a lot of talent and a lot of guys that are going to want to get paid on this team. And so there's a bigger role coming his way, and I think he could be worth a lot more than what he even is now. So like you said earlier, being a year too early is never wrong.
I thought DJ Moore was going to be gone from this roster by now. I didn't think that he was going to make it past the trade deadline. DJ Moore, he completely gave up on the team last year. It didn't seem like he was meshing well with Ben Johnson. And I thought Luther Burden was going to make a stronger leap because DJ Moore wouldn't have been present. And I think Luther Burden, he might be the best stash for the wide receiver position. And I think you ended on a great one there, Colton. And I do like the Tesla one also. Tesla and Jalen Lane have a little place in my heart just because of how strong their families were at this past year's combine. It was just awesome to see how much excitement that his family and his friends had for him as they were competing at the combine. And if I recall, Tesla and Jalen Lane were the only receivers that I documented that were green all across the board in athleticism. So Tesla is he's an electric one too that you definitely want to have some exposure to.
You can see it.
It's electric.
You gotta feel it.
It's electric.
Ooh, it's shocking.
It's electric.
We're going to have to start doing this. I say time after time. Time after time. And you play the song. We're going to have to start doing boogie woogie woogie every time you say electric.
I can't. How often do I say electric?
You can see it.
It's electric.
You gotta feel it.
It's electric.
Ooh, it's shocking.
It's electric.
Boogie woogie woogie.
I suspect that there's going to be some copyright with the boogie woogie, and I'm not so sure that they're going to allow me to play that.
All right, I'll just keep saying it then.
But you know what I have to play also in this podcast because you said it, right?
Yeah, but I used it in reference. I didn't say it. I used it in reference. Doesn't count. Don't do it to me.
Of course. I think we'll go to the final position. My favorite position, the tight end. And in many of my leagues, we have 2 tight ends that we play in 3 of my 5 dynasty leagues. And I know that there's a lot of rosters that are out there that are tight end premium. And so for tight end premium, for those 2 tight end leagues, for that, man, I don't have a tight end to save me. This is the podcast to listen to figure out who has potential to make that jump for 2026.
We love our tight ends.
We love our tight ends, and I'll give you the opportunity to bring forth your tight end.
But I've been doing squats, you know. If I turn you maybe see my squat rack in the background. Oh, there it is. That's why we got tight ends.
There was a podcast, I think it was earlier this year or last year, and you had said, I do lots and lots of squats, lots and lots of squats. I had cut that, and I copied and pasted and copied and pasted and copied and pasted. I had like 4 or 5 times of you saying squats, lots and lots of squats, squats, lots and lots of squats at the end of that podcast. And if you're listening to this podcast and you remember that one, please like hit me up. Let me know like which episode was that, because that was hilarious and I think you completely missed it.
I have a hard time going back and listening to our podcast because I'm just like, man, what I should have said more. I should have said something else. What are you doing? Come on.
There's always more, Colton. There's always more.
But no, I missed that. You should play it in your physical therapy clinic for people when they're working out their legs.
Lots and lots of squats at the clinic. Lots and lots of squats.
What are we gonna do? Lots and lots of squats. This is probably what we were talking about when we were talking about Jalen Hurts and Ham. No, not Ham. Dylan. What's his name?
Dylan.
Yes, Dylan. Yes. It was probably about that.
I don't remember that. I don't remember which episode it was. I hope that I put myself a clue in the episode description to say like something about squats, so that way I can just kind of reference it really quick. But I don't remember. I would love to just make like a little copy of that and put it on the side here as one of our buttons whenever we say like squats or thighs, something tight end related.
I'll see if I can find it. But my first tight end, let's get back on track here. My first tight end is Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews, another year older. We've seen Likely, if he could stay healthy, it's another guy that's just health, man. He shares, unfortunately, the field 50% of the time with Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews is an absolute target out there. But Mark Andrews, another year older, he still is making just stupid drops sometimes, man. And then other times he looks like, oh, he's back. And so I just don't know what Mark Andrews is, and he's going to be another year older and another year where it's just like this could be Isaiah Likely's year, but I mean it could be just another stash onto him again for another year and hope he gets to the better. But I just like Isaiah Likely a lot. We saw what he could do when Mark Andrews wasn't there last year. Had an incredible first few games without him, and then just kind of has sputtered into mediocreness. But I think without Mark Andrews there, if they could eventually move on, I think he'd be fantastic.
I think the player you chose was one of the correct options to stash, but the process is flawed because Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kohler were all going to be free agents in 2026. Mark Andrews just signs a contract for 3 years with the Ravens. So currently he's the only tight end that is signed with the Ravens past this season. And Isaiah Likely is not currently signed with the Ravens. And so that provides a great stashing opportunity for whether what team does he sign with? Does he re-sign with the Ravens, which I expect, or does he go somewhere else and become a potentially better option? The problem is like when tight ends go from one team to the other, it's very system dependent. It's very system dependent because you see some teams that like utilize a tight end like no matter what, and then you have other systems that are like we don't use a tight end at all.
That is absolutely true. So it depends on where he lands. I did not know that about the contract, so that makes it honestly even more excited. And that just makes fantasy fun too. I really like to carry some of these guys that don't have a contract for the next year, just for the excitement of the offseason of like when the free agency breaks, you're just so excited sitting there seeing what's going to happen. I mean, so I think that makes him even more exciting to me. Especially I disagree. I don't think he will sign with the Ravens with Mark Andrews being there for another 3 years. I could see Isaiah Likely wanting his shot as the premier tight end on a team. And I think there's some of these teams out there that would love to have an athletic tight end like Isaiah Likely because he's one of those. He's not just a move tight end like the Kincaid or Pitts. He does do well with the inline blocking, and he's a big bodied dude that can get the job done in that way. He's just an athlete that can block as well. So that's the kind of tight end some of these teams are looking for. And I mean, he'd be a great tight end on any other team, just not behind him.
There is one team in the Ravens division that likes tight ends more than me, and that's the Steelers. Could you see Isaiah Likely signing with the Steelers so they can have a 5 tight end front?
Well, yeah, so they can just throw it to the non-athletic tight end is what they would do.
One that looks like a tackle.
Arthur Smith is just. I hope he gets fired.
I had to.
This could be the first year the Steelers don't go 500, and I'm gonna just die laughing because it is Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith's fault 100%. It's like they've been in these games and they're just like, hey, should we throw it to our good wide receiver? No, let's just throw it to our least athletic tight end and see what he can do with it because the Arthur Smith just loves to frickin' do that stuff. Oh my god,
I love that I got you on that rant, but I think Isaiah Likely and I think Charlie Kohler, the third string tight end for the Ravens right now. He's still athletic. He's had some flashes. Usually he's kind of like a touchdown dependent type of guy, just like most of these tight ends that are out there. You never know. Like you're in a really deep league if you're picking up Charlie. Njoku, he's going to be a free agent this year, so that provides an opportunity for Fannin Jr. Goddard is going to be a free agent in 2026. There's really no tight end of consequence behind the Eagles. I've tried picking that person out for the last 2.5 years, because Goddard always gets injured. Nope, they just don't utilize another tight end. Kylan Granson, I think it was that guy behind Goddard this year, and I don't know if that was a 1-year contract or not, but I don't know if he really matters or not.
Mm-mm.
No,
it didn't matter on the Colts either.
No, but there's 2 really special tight ends that I really am interested in stashing here, Colton. And I'm going to start with the one here first, and you probably know who that is. Tyler Higbee is going to be a free agent in 2026.
It's not Tyler Higbee.
The Winter Soldier is who you want. You want Terrence Ferguson.
Oh, okay.
Terrence Ferguson is the guy. Parker, what the heck's his name? Parkinson? Colby Parkinson?
Colby Parkinson, yeah.
Colby, Colby.
Like the
Parkinson.
cheese, Colby Jack.
I do like Colby Jack cheese, yeah.
Colby Jack Parkinson,
Parkinson's played fine, but the real home run hitter is Terrence Ferguson. I don't have to say much more. You just have to listen to all the other podcasts behind me.
So just go back.
He was my favorite tight end coming out of the combine here in Indianapolis, and I look forward to finding some more tight ends at this next year's combine.
You think our wives ever hear this and just get concerned about how many tight ends we're talking about? Yours, babe. Yours is just my favorite tight end. No, I couldn't agree more. Terrence Ferguson.
I just got done swooning about the Winter Soldier.
I absolutely love Terrence Ferguson as well. We both have made our love profound for him, and I was able to swoop on him in a couple of leagues against you and have him just sitting there taunting you, just like a little like a little, the dollar on the stick. You're gonna have to be quicker than that.
Yep.
The old
Tier
progressive.
1 quarterback. He drafted. Remember, he ended up trading ahead of me one spot to get him in my Medusa league. I had recently been able to trade for him, and I
Yeah.
have him on my roster now.
You just got to be so excited.
Oh, glowing.
My tight end, another one that I am going to be stashing, is a rookie on Tennessee Titans, Gunnar Helm. I absolutely like him. He hasn't done much this year, but the whole entire Tennessee offense hasn't done much this year. And we could see this team be even shorter of pass catchers than what they already have. And, he has had a couple of games where he's looks pretty good. Just a guy that's just flying under the radar too right now that no one really cares about. He's probably just sitting on someone's taxi squad. And as we roll into next year's rookie draft, they're going to have to either decide to keep these players or drop them off their taxi squad to replace the other rookies. So this is a guy that someone could look like, he did a little bit, but I don't foresee myself hanging on to this tight end, and he could be dropped easily next year. So just someone to keep in mind for that, or if you want to try to trade for him, that's fine too. But he's definitely someone that someone could be like, have a sour taste and like, I don't want him to block my roster and just drops him.
There's a lot of people that don't want Titans players, but the interesting thing about Gunnar Helm is Chico Conquo is going to be a free agent in 2026. So that provides more opportunity for Gunnar Helm.
Even better, man. Even better.
I'm not a Gunnar Helm fan, and I certainly didn't like what I saw at the combine. But when he has his football pads on, he actually plays pretty good football. He didn't look bad.
Yeah, when he's running around in his underwear, he's not that great of a football player.
He looked really small compared to all the other tight ends that were there. And I'm sorry, he didn't, I don't know. There was just something off about him.
All right. That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Anywho, I can't believe you didn't say this guy. Do you have another tight end before I just kind of like spill the beans on this last guy that I'm really like gushing for?
You can go ahead and say it. I got one more, but I don't think you're gonna say it.
I think I am. Zach Ertz is going to be leaving the Washington Commanders. He is a free agent in 2026, and this is a guy that I actually had crazily over Brock Bowers last year in the tight end like rookie rankings. And that's Ben Sinnott, the Senator. I still have hope for Ben Sinnott, and the Washington Commanders, they're spiraling right now because of injuries and things. But Zach Ertz is not going to live forever. Like life is like hopefully life as a tight end is not going to be sustainable forever. And Zach Ertz, he still has shown flashes this year, but I just don't see him continuing through 2026. They have Ben Sinnott. They need to unleash him. And he's my stash. He's my other stash that I'm gushing for. It's him and the Winter Soldier.
I truly do. I do love it. I do. I like it. I like it. I do like Ben Sinnott. I am hurt. I am hurt, man. We've seen nothing.
Has been nothing.
It's zero, and that's my big issue. I'm like, it has been absolutely nothing, and man, it makes me nervous. I keep hanging on to him in leagues because I loved his tape coming out, and I thought he was going to break through this year, and he just cannot get through Zach Ertz. And we saw eventually Trey McBride just overtook and was that guy. And so that's my fear is coming to the end of year 2, and we still haven't seen a darn thing. Now, tight ends do take longer to develop. He did come from Kansas, which is, not a big, huge program. I mean, it's a good size, program in college, but it's not like a huge one. So maybe there's still
was their leading receiver, Colton. He was the leading receiver for that team.
Hope is still
He's
alive.
so athletic. Keep the hope alive.
Don't
jump ship yet. Don't do it, Colton. Give him one more year.
Hope is still alive. But man, it's just it's got to make you nervous. It's got to keep you shaking, and if you have the depth and you have the ability to keep him on that, because he's on your active roster. He's not just sitting on taxi squad this year. He's just blocking, like doing nothing. It's not even like you can put him in there and hope he gets you like 5 or 6 points. It's you put him in there and you're probably getting a goose. So if you've held on to him this long, you're probably still hanging on to him in hopes. But there's got to be some people you can go and offer absolutely nothing because they're like, I've seen nothing out of this guy. I will give him to you I'll pay you to take him off my roster. But I'm not me. I'm not giving up hope, but man, I would understand if some people do.
I've tried trading a fourth for him,
Yeah.
and it didn't get done.
No, because you go higher.
I did not go higher because I'm
Would
still
you?
waiting for him to drop Ben Sinnott, and then I'm going to be like this. Scoop.
Would you go higher? Would you give a third?
Depends what league it is, I guess, and I'd have to have a pretty young roster that isn't competing.
Mhm.
But my problem is here, Colton, and it's not quite a problem, and it's kind of a slight brag. Like, I probably have 5 leagues in Dynasty that I'm going into the playoffs in all 5.
I have.
So I probably have Ben Sinnott in 2 or maybe 3 of those leagues. I might have him in 3 of those leagues.
I would give up a third for him. I would absolutely give up.
It was a late third, maybe.
No questions about it. I think I would give up a.
Drafting too much, Colton, and now we're getting into the time of the year. It's like, ooh, now we're going to start looking at like what's in the box. Could be a boat.
Could be a boat. I got one last name, and it's going to be one of those more expensive names again because I like to do that for the very last one. Another uber athletic tight end that you and I believe, have gushed about before. I can't remember if you like him or not, but
I don't like Kincaid. I don't like Kincaid.
Theo Johnson.
I don't like him.
Stop it with Kincaid. He's not a
He is
stash
not
anymore.
my guy, Colton. He is not my guy.
He's not a stash anymore. He's a must play. Hey,
He might be
he's
back this week. He
he's
might be
looked-
back this week.
He looked good when he was healthy, man. He looked good, and you know it. He looked like the best option on that team.
They stopped throwing to Shakir for some reason.
Because Kincaid's the best option on that team. I'm talking about Theo
Last
Johnson.
week, where was he?
We're not talking about Kincaid. Theo Johnson is the name.
Like Theo.
I thought we did. Okay. Theo
Yes.
Johnson, I mean, coming to the New York Giants, man, is an absolutely fantastic name for a guy that is uber athletic. He has really ramped up this year. I mean, he has been hit or miss. There's been some games he's blown up, like week 5 against New Orleans, put up 24 points. That is a tight end premium league, but still 24 points. Over this last couple weeks, it's been 12, then 7-4 against the Patriots. So he's hit or miss. He's a roller coaster, but he's only in his second year. Jackson Dart's still getting acclimated to the NFL, and I think as we see Dart get better, and if he can stay healthy, we'll see even more passes come Theo Johnson's way. Malik Neighbors obviously being out has helped him a little bit in terms, but I think that could open him up even a little bit more with Neighbors coming back. So Theo Johnson, just another stash, probably somebody you still have to pay up a little bit. Someone will be wanting something for him, but an athletic tight end that could play a bigger role than what he has right now in the future.
And I think that's a perfect way to end it. Like when you're looking for a tight end, like you're looking for the athletic freak that has the potential to not only just give you like 6 points in a week. You're looking for that big boom week. You want that guy that's going to take over a roster. You're looking for a tight end that has the chance to be the number 2, maybe the number 3 option in the passing game. Because if they're not that, they're probably not scoring your team any fantasy points.
Precisely. Yeah, I mean that's all you're looking for in the tight end, especially like those athletic ones, like you said, that can just give you the boom week. They can go out and score two touchdowns and get 6 passes their way, and just blow up. I mean, sometimes you take a risk on those guys to where they might get you only 4 or 5 points one week, but really you need your tight end to just kind of blow up. And unless you have the top 2 guys, unless you're Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, you're probably plugging in and playing a couple of different guys anyways. So you just got to play the matchups and know which matchups to play him in. And I mean, Theo Johnson is just one of those guys that can blow up against, especially a bad team that doesn't guard the tight end. He will punish them. And so that's just a name of someone you kind of want.
They're going to cost you a lot less than like a wide receiver or a running back or even a quarterback. And the tight end position, I think, is the forgotten like position. There's a lot of people that don't value the tight ends outside of the top 5.
Not us. We remember tight ends. We remember a good tight end.
Get them.
Never let one slide past.
Nope. Well, this podcast is probably getting a little long in the tooth. There's an old cliche right there, but I have been looking forward to this podcast for like the last 2 weeks. The Stache podcast. I'm always looking for stashes, and whether it's a little stash, a big stash, a big woolly, freaky stash, like all the stashes, they're all good. So just got to go out and, pluck them once in a while and make sure that they can be added onto your roster.
Absolutely. Similar to I thought you had maybe more.
Like, yeah. And with that, we are the Fantasy Football Healers. You can find us at FF Healers and at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. You can find us on YouTube. Just search FF Healers. We'll pop right up. We got shorts. We got videos. We got lots of fantasy relevant content. That's the show. Like, if you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. We would love to hear a review. And Colton.
Salute.
Wow.